Hey y'all, welcome back. Kristen here, Chris Pattern, and today we're, yeah. So, you know, it's not like things in here are going so well either. Let's check that out. Hey y'all, Kristen here, and as we welcome back to the Chris Pattern channel. On this channel, not only do I make things out of like yarn and fabric and talk about crafting, I also get into and delve into like some of the reasonings why. I also talk about sustainability here. And as of late, I haven't been able to shake that we are losing sources of getting our crafting supplies. So if you haven't already, go back. You can go in the show notes. I've linked to my first two JoAnn's videos. And even though I have promised talking about a certain yarn that happens to be embedded in this sweater, I wanted to actually pause, and I will get to that video eventually, but I wanted to pause and talk about why not only Michaels cannot replace JoAnn, but I also want to establish why ultimately the big box model is not going to be what sustains our crafting. Now, if you like these kinds of conversations coupled with your crafting, like and subscribe this video. I would love to see you on the channel, and I appreciate everybody who's reached out with the comments and everything about these topics, but I'm thinking this might be the last in the trilogy for a minute. So when you come back on the channel, I'll be actually back to like talking about my crafting process. But if you want to hang out and do that, I would love to see you again. But if not, thanks for coming by for the interim. Like, show these like crafting store like operations videos to your friends. And yes, let's get to the main point. JoAnn's is gone. She's gone. And I've in the description box below, I've linked to a fellow customer who compiled the amount, went through the bankruptcy filing and compiled how many stores there are, all 800 stores, how much rent they're paying. And by the way, they're all paying rent. JoAnn does not own any of their real estate. So we'll get back to that towards the end of the video. But let's just talk about how Michaels cannot step in. Like, it's not just going to be as easy as Michaels buying up the JoAnn's and pushing them, putting themselves in the same stores. Number one, generally, Michaels stores and JoAnn stores aren't the same size. Most Michaels, and I'm going to put this up, I put it up in a couple videos ago. So what you might not be able to tell is that the Michaels store, even though it's in the same inline part of the shopping center, it's not the same size as the JoAnn store. Now, yes, there are cases like when I go to this JoAnn store. This JoAnn store is the size of a Michaels, and it is the size of the Michaels, and actually not far from the Michaels that I opened up the video with. That store could possibly be replaced by Michaels or that other. But some JoAnn's are this small, and in some places, like there's a store on the list that's like that's only, they rent it for like $5,000, and I can only imagine that that's not a big store. So let me roll it back a little bit and let's talk about the real estate aspects of this. Most commercial real estate leases go for upwards of 5 to 10 years. They ask you to lock in for at least 5 to 10. And some of them, sometimes it's like a 1 to 3 year lease, but you're having to put a lot of that money up front. And yes, you're having to put up front anywhere from at least 5,000 is honestly kind of the minimum amount. That's kind of like the cheapest commercial rents out here right now for a store, like a little small, like kind of basic, smaller size store in a strip mall. Now, commercial rents for warehouse space, for the big power center spaces, and you're also seeing these power center spaces that have the bigger numbers. The ones that I go to on a regular basis are all power center size. And honestly, the Wheaton Mall location here in Maryland, it's like, wow, they got that for a steal. And that's the other thing. These stores are at the mercy of the landlords. And guess who else is also at the mercy of the landlord? Michaels. So Something else, another reason that JoAnn Michaels can't automatically replace JoAnn, other than the obvious that Michaels doesn't really sell fabric, but that'll be, I want to go ahead and address this one. Michaels also is owned by private equity. Michaels is also doing things that signal that they might be headed towards a private equity type buyout. JoAnn's has been owned by private equity since at least 2010. Michaels also has been owned by private equity for a while, and they've already done things in Michaels like replace cashiers with self checkouts. And if you've been to the Michaels and tried to do self checkout, it's not a perfect replacement because I usually scan something twice, and I usually have to have the cashier or clerk come and fix that for me. So it's not like they've succeeded in replacing their employees, but they're trying. Something else, and I addressed this at the tail end of my first video in this sort of series on these craft store retail boxes, was that Michaels doesn't, much like JoAnn hasn't really shipped from a warehouse for a while. You're shipping, when you buy online, they're shipping directly from their stores and they're bundling your orders and they're bringing together from different stores. Michaels is also doing that. Michaels is literally, when you order, even if you order online to their warehouse, unless it's in a larger quantity. Now, I did this here in this video where I had ordered all of this for my original dress project, and I ordered it directly, but it came in the Lion brand box, which once again, we will get to that Woolies video because it's one of those yarns that you can order direct, but different video. So you, depending on what you order, sometimes they're just giving you the box that they have, and sometimes they're going on the shelves of the stores, like their local stores, and oftentimes it's the stores in your region, and they're pulling the things off the shelf and then they're just taking them to the post office or to UPS. They take them to UPS. When I had my class supply debacle back in October and November of 2024, what I noticed was, first things first, I was excited. I was like, oh, my stuff came on time. I opened up the box, and I opened up the box to only a portion of my order, even though the Michaels website said everything had been shipped. They had not. And I continued to get boxes and boxes and boxes. And I got two other boxes the days after my seminar. What had to happen was we had to run to Michaels and get temporary supplies, and they weren't exactly the same supplies. And I had specifically curated certain supplies. And part of the reason I had gone to Michaels in the first place is because I wanted the barrier of entry to doing this craft of crochet, which is what I was teaching, to be easy. However, they made sure it wasn't going to be easy for us to get what we needed it with this method. And it's not the fault of my local store. It's corporate deciding that they, instead of having warehouses and instead of paying these shipping costs, they're just gonna, you know, in a region like mine where there's so many Michaels stores to choose from, they'll just shop from, have this clerks that are on duty shop from the shelves, put everything in a box, ship it out, hope for the best. Well, for those of us who have been supplying as like smaller businesses, some of us who, and in some cases, some folks have their tax numbers on file, they get a warehousing. Michaels used to offer like a warehousing, direct to warehouse option. I have not touched base with that in recent years, but in the future, if I do decide to do something similar, I will be learning how to warehouse. And yeah, you want to stay tuned because that will be a video. I do want to like explore that process, and then I want to document it for you. So that's kind of the number two reason. Like both Michaels and JoAnn are shopping their shelves. They're not keeping things adequately in stock, and their websites are not matching always what's in the store. And if you are trying to teach classes independently and trying to order in bulk, and or just go in, even though this is a huge warehouse size store, anyway, and you think, okay, it's the size of a warehouse, I can just go in and they just keep putting stuff on the shelves, and you know, they're sending me these coupons and I'm always getting these reward vouchers. Why can't I just walk into the store? Well, that's their game plan. So that's number two reason why they can't replace JoAnn. Michaels can't replace JoAnn. Number three reason, number three reason, y'all, and y'all should peep this. All of that home decor. And a lot of it looks very suspiciously like stuff on Temu, Shein, Alibaba Express, and all those other warehouses. The quality of the home decor stuff is almost exactly the same. Just like now, there are distinctions with some of our craft supplies, there are distinctions with our fabrics. When it comes to that home decor, it's all the same. And yes, for the most part, 80% of most Michael's stores is that stuff. Like, I'm putting up this video of the store I went to. You walk down that first aisle, it's all home decor. And then now they replaced the toy foam soldiers with these Easter bunnies. Do I really need a tall Easter bunny? A tall Easter bunny could have been the entirety of Lion Brand's like collection that they have online. Just that's it. And then of course, yeah, they're saying that Michaels is saying they're doing fabric, but let me tell you the truth about this whole fabric aisle. This is the cotton. There's a lot of quilting cottons, and this little section right here is apparel. Yeah. Whereas most JoAnn stores, even the smallest stores, half of the store is their fabric. Even if a good half of the fabric store is polyfleece, at least it's bales and bolts of fabric. That is not happening at Michael's. Likewise, there's at least 4 to 5 aisles of yarn in a lot of JoAnn stores. That's why I really started to become more loyal to JoAnn when I came back to this craft after all these years. And of course, all the changes I've lived through when it comes to fabric stores. Even I mean, I'm only like 39, so it's not as many changes as like my mom's generation lived through, but it's been enough. It's been enough. I am now trying to help all of y'all navigate what this is going to feel like, because I do remember what it was like when we had more like mid-sized regional fabric chains. Like my mom worked at Peace Goods. That was a mid-sized regional chain. It was in a lot of malls. It was, in our case, it was in a mall out parcel, but it was adjacent to the enclosed shopping mall. Of course, that's another reason I love going to Wheaton Plaza, because JoAnn is in line to the shopping mall, and it is huge. It's like the one of the biggest fabric stores I've ever been in, and it's going to be a huge loss if that JoAnn store ends up being liquidated. And so, like, Michaels was there, and Michaels has kind of looked the same always. Michaels has always been kind of a hodgepodge of, hey, we think you might want to try this craft. Try it here. We think you might want to try this. And yes, those stores also used to teach you how to do your crafts, but now they don't do that anymore. Now they'll just have like a kid's birthday party. And not to say that kids' birthday parties can end up in anything, because of course I started this craft when I was a kid, and I was mentored by folks like my mom and her colleagues that also were crafters, and that's why they were working at the craft store. If anything, they were able to get first dibs on a lot of the raw goods and materials and take them home and make our clothes and make our homewares. You know, those that's what makes, to me, made JoAnn special. And JoAnn was the ending up of merging a lot of those regional fabric stores together. Whereas Michael's, they've always, to me, been like a hodgepodge, like that other store that will not be named. And of course, but that gets me to something else. And I will call this like my fifth and final reason that JoAnn's and Michael's aren't like direct analogs, and Michael's can't replace JoAnn's directly. All of these stores, yes, are not only corporations owned by private equity, and their DEI commitments have been hit or miss. Their commitments to actual customers and sewers that know what they're doing have been hit or miss. Like, oh, every once in a while, you might see like a home sewist, or in the case of Michael's, they have that, what is it, the crafters place or that craft marketplace. But yes, them trying to replace a part of Etsy isn't replacing a part of JoAnn. And at the end of the day, like if that initiative doesn't work, it's going away. Just like we saw D&I go away. MX Domestic, who was featured in a lot of Michael's Pride collection about, I think this was like 21, 22, has spoken about how a lot of those endorsements that they took were not up to speed. I'm actually just going to link to MX Domestic's Instagram page as well as their YouTube, and you can go back in their archives and you can hear them talk about it in their own words. Also, just a trigger warning, they've being part of these campaigns, in addition to things in their lives, triggered a lot of hurt and pain. And so we're seeing that, of course, with all these other D&I rollbacks in places like Target and Walmart. Like these big box stores love to use us as influencers, but as crafters, we're more than influencers. We are teachers. Like we're more of small, mini size, like Martha Stewart's, than we are, say, another celebrity that just grabs a product and puts it up and holds it. And yet, even some others that have been pillared to me unfairly, and I will say, I think it's because we sound similar, and some of y'all just really are hell bent on not trusting a Southern accent unless and or thinking that it means we are subservient, we are the part of the reason the country's falling. No, I've heard some of the most hateful things as of late in an accent that is not mine, an American accent that is not mine. And there's a certain level of connection. But anyway, we'll come back and I'll be back on this channel with more solutions, because as you see, JoAnn's numbers are not looking good. And honestly, if you walk through a Michael's yourself, this experience is not the same. And the workers have been struggling in both stores for years. And of course, I wore Urban Girl Yarns, one of the many small Black and queer owned businesses you can still support. And it's important to just support directly. Go to our direct marketplaces. And if you are a small maker who is trying to figure out what you need to do to be active on these sites, if you want to figure out how to connect to Shopify, just to be able to have more control over your commercial environments, shoot me a comment and shoot me a message here on YouTube. Let me know if that a general video would help, or if you want to like get advisement. If that case, I will come back with my Calendly and we can set up time then. Until next time, have fun crafting, and I look forward to showing you how to navigate this landscape, both as someone who's sourcing crafts as well as making crafts. And I'm looking forward to in future videos showing you the places I've been, the reuse stores, the swap meets, and how to like go directly to some of the sites that these big box stores were being your middleman for. So look forward to seeing you then. Remember, like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.